All right. Now, with all of that housekeeping out of the way, I am excited and delighted to introduce Dr. Ann Blaze. Dr. Blaze wears many hats, including the Director of Cancer Survivorship Services and Translational Research. She also leads the organizing committee for today's conference. Thank you. Good morning and welcome, Dr. Blaze.
Good morning. We are so thrilled to have everyone here today and are so happy that you are joining us. As we get started, I want to remind you that today is really a day for learning, community, and strength. Many of you may ask, who is a cancer survivor? Am I a cancer survivor? This conference has really always defined the term survivor as from the point of diagnosis. So wherever you're at on your trajectory, whether you were just diagnosed, whether you haven't been on treatment for 10 years, whether you're always on treatment, you are a survivor. And that includes family, friends, caregivers, healthcare providers, professionals, and so many others who are on this journey with you. While we are unfortunately virtual again this year, we are building a community. And over the last several years, we have seen the survivorship community grow through attending this conference and through our fall virtual Thrive series. By visiting the website, connecting with us by phone and email, and with our partners, many of which are hosting a virtual exhibit site. We want to thank you for prioritizing your health and the health of loved ones and neighbors by remaining distanced. A little later today, you may even choose to learn more about the impact of COVID-19 on cancer during our second breakout session at 10:30 this morning. We framed today's agenda around your feedback, so thank you, because we've built an exciting collection of topics and speakers. In the spirit of community, one piece of feedback that we focused on this year is hearing others' stories and perspectives. Throughout the content today, you can expect to hear lots of different stories and perspectives on their journey through survivorship. This morning, we thought it would be appropriate to start with a patient story. I think as any of us that work in healthcare, whether it's in the clinics or it's in the community working with individuals touched with cancer, your voice, the voice as a individual affected by cancer, is really important. With that, I'm happy to welcome Sandy Muschensheim to share her story. Sandy will tell us a little bit about her journey. She wears many hats herself, and I will let her go on. And thanks for being here with us, Sandy.
Well, thank you for having me, Anne. I'm really delighted to be here and amazed by the work you do.
Well, I think all of us want to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about your cancer diagnosis and your own experience.
Yeah, so I'm a colon cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with stage 3C colon cancer on my first colonoscopy, my first screening colonoscopy. A year later, they discovered that my cancer had spread to my liver. And so I initially had a colon resection and 6 months of chemotherapy. And then when it spread to my liver, I had liver surgery and another 6 months of chemotherapy. It came back in my liver again, and I did more chemotherapy, more surgery, and actually it came back in my liver a third time. So I was diagnosed in 2011, and my last liver surgery was in 2015. Altogether, I had 6 surgeries and was on chemo for 7 years. But now I've had no evidence of disease since 2015. So thanks to some amazing care, I am still here annoying the heck out of my kids.
Which I'm sure they love that. So that's a good thing. You know, as we reflect on just your own experience, I'm curious if you'll tell all of us, what has worked well for you in terms of how to keep living well as you've gone through these ups and downs and through these journeys that you've had.
Yeah, so there are a couple different things. I think the first thing is I'm not a religious person at all, but I have found that the Serenity Prayer works very well for me. And that's all about separating the things you can do something about from the things you can't do anything about. And by really every day asking myself, what are the things I can do something about versus the things I can't do anything about, has been really helpful, because I couldn't do anything about the fact that I had cancer, and I needed to go through my treatment, and there were side effects related to it. And so the things I could do something about were working on keeping myself as healthy as I could and trying to keep a positive attitude and look for the things that made me happy every day. So I tried to make sure that I got some kind of exercise every day, and some days that meant going for a walk around the block or a couple blocks, and some days that meant going to the gym for 2 hours and doing yoga and doing a spin class or doing some weights. I found that if I ate a very, very simple diet of, protein, vegetables, simple carbohydrates, I felt better than if I ate a lot of junk food and ate a lot of really spicy things. So I tried to really focus on making sure I ate the things that made me feel good and did the things that made me feel good, and continued with my normal life as much as I was able to. One of the other things I really focused on when I started was that I didn't want to give cancer anything I didn't have to. There were days in my time that I was on chemo and I didn't feel good, and those days cancer was going to take something from me. But on the days when I felt good, I lived as much of my normal life as I was able to, and focused on enjoying my family and going the places I wanted to go and doing the things I wanted to do.
Thanks for sharing that. It's, you and I have talked many times over the last number of years of going through this, and the team that has supported you, and all these things that you mentioned that you've done for yourself to try to keep you well. We have a great agenda today for people interested in learning more about sort of nutrition and keeping yourself mentally well, going through all of this too. I am curious, you connect with a lot of individuals going through cancer treatment, some of whom are on treatment, some who are off of treatment, others who are family members affected by loved ones. And what would you tell them? Like, what have you learned from your own experience that you would want to share with them?
Oh boy, that's a hard question, man. I think it's really about kind of taking it one day at a time and living in the moment as much as possible. I joke that there was one of my partners who asked me how I managed to not spend all my time worrying about the side effects of my treatment and my cancer. And I hope you don't think this is an inappropriate story, but I told him, every morning you get up and you get washed up and get dressed and eat your breakfast and drive into work, right? And he said, yep. And I said, do you spend all of your time worrying about whether or not you're going to die in an accident on the way there? And he was like, no. And I said, well, you could, and I think cancer takes a lot from us, but it gives us some gifts too. And one of the gifts is realizing that we're mortal. And when you realize that you're mortal, you realize how important it is to live your life as fully as you can every day, and appreciate the people who are taking care of you, and the love that you have for your family and friends, and sharing those things with them, and not putting things off that you want to do. And so I think it's really important to focus on the things that you care about when you're sick.
Well, thanks for sharing all that. I appreciate the story you shared with your colleague. So thank you for sharing your story and for being with us today. We're really excited as we go through the day to be reminded about why we're here. And I know for all of us who've taken our sunny Saturday morning out to join, that sharing with others, reflecting on our own experience, and then also sort of learning different things about how to keep living well is really important. So thank you again, Sandy. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. And thank you for all the work you do around survivorship, Anne. It's really, a lot of us can now view cancer as a chronic disease, thanks to you.
Well, today we're going to hear from, thank you. this event would not be possible without an incredible team. And you'll hear about them and from many of them as we go through the course of the events today. And this is certainly not it takes a lot of teamwork, and we're really inspired by all of you willing to share your stories. So thank you.